Hi, welcome to the Fatherhood channel. Today I want to talk about the rule of 72, or the rule of 70, or the rule of 78, or the rule of 69. It just depends on the factors, but basically it's a neat little number that we can use to, and it simplifies an equation for us to basically get a pretty close approximation of how often our money doubles, or in a more negative situation, how often our money's purchasing power is cut in half. So what I'm going to do is just share the screen here and show you what I'm talking about. So the rule 72. If you want to get more interest in the background of this is the equation right here. However, basically the end result is that you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate that it is growing or decreasing by, and that will give you in that period. So if you have like an annual interest rate of 7%, you take 72 divided by 7, and it'll tell you how many years your money doubles. Or let's say we're talking about inflation, and let's say there's 2% inflation per year. You can divide it by 2%, and that'll tell you when your purchasing power due to inflation will be cut in half and how many years that'll take. Right? Similarly, if you divide by the interest rate that it's compounding per month or per day, then it'll give you that result in the number of days or months that your money's doubling. So let's just take a few examples here. I'm going to show you we're starting with a balance of 10,000 in year 0. We're talking about an annual growth of 7% a year. And if we take that number, 72, and we divide by 7, we get about 10.2 years. So if we go down, does 10,000 double in 10 years? 10.2 years? Yep, right between year 10 and going into year 11, it doubles. So we see that the number works. And we can see here in the equation that it's taking the previous principal and increasing it by 7%. Okay. If we go on to a monthly growth of 2%. Now, just something to point out here, I kind of noted here below. So for anywhere between 6 to 10% for an annual period, you want to use 72 to get the accurate result. For smaller interest rates that are on like a more monthly or daily increment, like anything below that, so like 2% or 1%, you're going to want to use the number 69. It'll get you a more accurate result. And just to iterate that, let's see, we got 10,000, we're going to do 69 divided by 2, gets us about 34.5 years. And this is growth, right? And if we go down, oh, I'm sorry, that was per month. And it was 35 something months. So if we go down here, 35, 36 months, oh, there you go, the money doubled, right? That's in 3 years. Okay. If we move on to purchasing power reduction, right? So the equation here is you're taking the previous balance and reducing it by 2% of the previous balance. And we go down, all right? And it's going to be a similar thing. In this case, since it's a low percentage, but it's an annual period instead of a monthly period, you want to use 70. 70 is going to be a little bit more accurate. So it's not too hard to remember that just basically the lower the percentage, you want to use closer down to like 70. And if the period is smaller than a year, then you want to use 69. And similarly, if it's in a more like a regular range that we normally see our interest rates at, somewhere between 6 and 10%, then you want to use 72 if it's for an annual period. And then if the interest rate is higher than that, you're talking 12, 14, 15, 20% growth, right? For an annual period, you actually want to use 78. So looking over here for the inflation, if we take 70, we divide it by 2, that's 35 years for your money, your purchasing power to be cut in half on that money. And as we see, 10,000 erodes down to roughly after 34.5 years, about $5,000, right? So your purchasing power is cut in half. And then let's just take one more look at another example. Here's a very high growth. Let's just assume, you bought some Tesla stock and you're going up like 22% growth, right? So we want to use 78 is closer to the equation. Because remember, if you look at the equation, it's kind of neat. You look at this graph this is kind of give you an idea that when it's in these like lower interest rates, right? But then the graph starts to shift. So when the numbers get higher, you got to kind of dramatically increase that number, 72, right? It's going to go up to 78 or maybe even higher. If the interest rate was like 50%, then it'd probably be like 82 or something like that. And they have a chart here kind of breaking down the more further accuracy. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect, right? This is just a quick way that you don't want to have to do the whole equation. You're just like roughly got a balance of money and you want to know how long it's going to take for it to double at a certain growth. It's really like simple math, you know, and you can even use 72 in all cases, and it just might be a little less accurate with certain percentages, but it's totally fine. So just going back to our example here, do 78 divided by 22% annual growth, 3.5 years, the money should double. So let's look, 10,000. We go between year 3 and 4. No, 10,000 becomes right there, doubles 18 to 22,000. I kind of spaced out the cells again. You want to check another 3.5 years later from that. Does 22,000 double? Yes, it does. There it is, 40,000 to 49. Does the 49,000 double to 100,000? Nope, there it is, between 89 and 108,000. Every 3.5 years, the balance in this account is doubling. 100,000 to 200,000. 250,000 to 500,000, 500,000 to $1 million. So I hope this is interesting. It's just a cool thing called the rule of 72, right? And I hope that was informative. And with that being said, have a wonderful day. Catch you on the flip side. Like and subscribe if you thought that was interesting information. And toodles.